Good evening. Welcome to the October 7th work session of the Lynbrook Board of Education. We will begin, as always, with the salute to flag. Mr. Yaker, if you could lead us, please. Flag is behind Mr. Yaker.
You want me to pull it out?
No, as long as we're facing it.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Yaker. Just as a reminder, this is a work session for the Board of Education. It's a public meeting, but there are no questions accepted by the board. However, next week we will have a public board meeting. At that time, the board will be accepting questions. We will also have a limited number of people from the public. I think Dr. Burek had indicated we can hold about 30 people at that meeting to be in compliance with the executive order of the governor. We have some new staff members to announce: psychologist at West End and Waverly Park, Gianna Lo Sepio. Congratulations. Elementary school teacher at Waverly Park, Erin Dowdy. And Shannon McGovern is a long-term substitute teacher at West End. Additionally, we have an announcement to make regarding Mr. Sirosi. Currently, Lynbrook High School Assistant Principal Matthew Sirosi will serve as interim principal of Lynbrook South Middle School from now through December 21st, while Lynbrook South Middle School Principal Caitlin Ganun is out on maternity leave. Congratulations. Mr. Sirosi has proven his exceptional leadership abilities at Lynbrook High School, where he has been an assistant principal since 2012. Among his many responsibilities, he coordinates annual building events, oversees the attendance and discipline for all freshmen and sophomore students, and leads building-wide efforts for all safety and security measures. Mr. Sirosi is an integral member in various committees, as well as detailed in all his work, including data collection for the school. Mr. Sirosi also has a strong background working with middle school students and staff. Prior to his assistant principal role, he was an 8th grade American history teacher at Lynbrook North Middle School. He also taught global history to 9th and 10th graders at the Mary Lewis Academy in Queens before joining the Lynbrook Public Schools. Mr. Sirosi received his Bachelor of Arts degree in history with a concentration in secondary education from St. John's University. He then earned his Master of Science degree in adult education from Buffalo State College and his Building Leader certificate from C.W. Post. The district welcomes him to Lynbrook South Middle School. Dr. Burek, Superintendent's update.
Thank you, Mr. Belmont. Each time the board meets with administration, we just like to share any updated information that we can, especially during these uncertain times in dealing with COVID-19. I will start out. We are now in our second month of the school year. We are doing exceptionally well, and I appreciate everyone's cooperation with regards to that. I did want to just share that the COVID dashboard that is on our website, that all school districts needed to put on their website in order to share information about COVID cases in the local school districts. There's a problem with it from the state point of view, the Department of Health. Everyone knows that I sent a letter out last week about 2 cases that we did have in the district, and they have yet to appear on the dashboard. Please know that I did enter them on the date that the letter went out, but there seems to be a tremendous lag between when a school district enters the information and when it shows up on the dashboard. So please take everything that you see on that dashboard until they can fix the lag. Just take it with a grain of salt. And as we always say, unless you hear it directly from the school district, you cannot believe that it's true. So please always pay attention to the communications that we have. I also just today received an announcement from the State Education Department, and basically they admit it has come to the department's attention that the data in this dashboard is not always accurate. New York State Education Department has expressed its concerns regarding the dashboard with the executive, the governor, as many of our stakeholders have as well. An accurate data reporting system is a crucial component in identifying possible COVID-19 outbreaks and to protect the health and safety of our students and staff. While the Department of Health possesses certain information, including names of K through 12 students and staff that have tested positive for COVID-19, the Department of Health does not necessarily know the school of enrollment or employment of such students and staff. This mismatch of information has caused errors in the dashboard, with some cases being incorrectly reported in one school and underreported in others. So therefore, the New York State Department of Education entered into a data use agreement with the Department of Health so that they can share. So I just wanted to make everyone aware that they are sharing now the data. Information to be shared with our first and last names, dates of birth, the school of enrollment or employment, and the agreement ensures that any data or information shared will be safeguarded from unauthorized use or disclosure and will remain confidential pursuant to all applicable state and federal laws. It will be securely destroyed within 60 days after the completion and/or termination of the state of emergency declared by the governor, and solely used for the purposes of complying with the executive order. So I did want to bring that to everyone's attention. The next thing, and I know this is not going to be received well by people who are in the remote program right now. We had hoped that there would be a different outcome with this, but if you remember, when we initially unveiled our reopening of schools plan, our goal was to allow parents to change their initial choice of either full remote or full in-person and allow for a return to our buildings for some of our remote learners. When developing that plan, we had utilized the data provided from the parent survey. And that parent survey had indicated that 40% of the elementary parents would opt for remote learning. Ultimately, only 18% of the elementary parents chose to move forward with remote learning. We were hoping, as I said, that that would be different, but unfortunately, unless the social distancing restrictions are eased, we will not be able to bring back those children to our buildings. And we know that this decision may disappoint you, but please know that the health and safety of all of our students and staff is our #1 concern. If we are able to make a change, we will most certainly notify you. You have been absolutely wonderful in working with us, and we thank our community for its continued support of our schools at this time. And then I also would be remiss if I didn't bring up that we do have another long weekend coming up. Please, the smart choices and the actions that we are engaged in school, please make sure you do that at home when you're in your free time. Please maintain your social distancing. Please be aware of the mask wearing in order to protect all of us in the Lynbrook schools and keep our schools open. And with that, we do have a special presentation. A big part of this new year and the instructional program revolves around the use of the learning management systems. We know we are using Seesaw in the very early grades and Schoology for our intermediate and upper level students. And Mr. McDermott has really been working overtime in chairing everything pertaining to the learning management system. So he's going to give us a little overview, and I will turn it over to Mr. McDermott.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak about the learning management systems that we're implementing. For the technology department, this is one of the most important implementations we've done in a number of years. There's a chance to really transform the way we are delivering content to students. So I'd like to take us through a quick presentation. The first important question would be, what is a learning management system? So what essentially is a program, a web-based program, that allows us to create and organize instructional content and share it with students, whether they're in person, face-to-face, or in a remote situation. So that gives us a chance to have a valuable tool that will allow us to work with our students. And in this particular climate that we're in right now, this is a really valuable tool that's going to help us move forward. Now, what we're also looking forward to is a chance to improve communications. We noticed this during our school closure in the spring, that the communications between the teachers, the students, and the parents became a little strained, so we wanted to make sure that we brought about a system that would make that a much easier process. So what we chose to do, and I think it was the only way to go about something that's important, is this. We did a committee, and we brought in all the important stakeholders that were part of this process. We had a whole team of teachers involved in the committee. We had a group of administrators, district administrators, but also building administrators. And we also had parents who played a critical role in the decision-making process. So we thought this decision was of such a magnitude that we needed to hear from all of the important folks in our community. Now, we established a criteria when we were looking at the tools, when we wanted to see what would be the best choice for Lynbrook. So we went through a series of things, and one of the keys was the tool had to be age appropriate. We had to find tools that would be effective for students at our earliest levels of instruction, but also suitable for our students who are approaching college. So we need to find tools that would do that. And we wanted something that would work across multiple devices. We were very pleased that we have a one-to-one program in grades 6 through 12, but we noticed that when we were in our closed session in the springtime, that a lot of students in our younger grade levels were using a number of different tools that were available in their own home. So we wanted to make sure that any tool that we adopted would work across any platform, whether it's a district laptop or an iPad, an Android device, or an iPhone. So that was an important factor in what we were deciding. Additionally, as important as this implementation is, our technology program has been in full force for a number of years, and we wanted to make sure anything that we were bringing aboard would work with our existing technologies and all the content that teachers have spent years building. So we wanted to make sure that whatever we adopted would fit in what we already had in place. And we also wanted to make sure we have a robust student information system, PowerSchool, and we felt that it would be important for any program that we brought aboard would be able to communicate data back and forth between the learning management system and with PowerSchool. So that was a key factor we were deciding with. We wanted this to meet our short-term goals, which was to address our concern about a possible school closure. So we wanted to make sure that what we adopted would meet that need, but we also wanted to make sure that it would meet our long-term goals of improving instruction and the experience for our students. So we wanted to make sure that we were approaching this with two lines of thought in mind. And so our short-term goal is we wanted a tool that would make us more effective if we had a school closure again this year. So we wanted to get up and running and make sure we had a good foundation in the event of something we all hope does not happen. But we also want to make sure that this was not a tool that was just purchased due to a crisis. We want to make sure that this was a tool that was going to make us more effective in educating our students. So that was the mindset that we had going forward. And the committee came up with a recommendation, and based on that criteria, we felt that we would need two different learning management systems. And there was a great deal of debate about this within the committee. We felt that our earliest learners in grades K through 3 would find most of the full-featured learning management systems to be cumbersome and difficult to effectively participate in. So the suggestion was to adopt Seesaw, which is a very user-friendly product for the youngest learners. But we also felt that we needed to have a learning management system for our other students would allow us to really layer in, as time goes on, layer in a lot of the curricular pieces that we think would be make a more 21st century experience. So that's why for grades 4 through 12, we adopted Schoology, which is a they also have a K through 3 component, but we really felt that their K through 3 product was not exactly what we were looking for. So there was a lot of discussion involved with that because having a split learning management system meant additional challenges. So we got into the process then of what does the adoption process look like. And we had to go through the process of then taking those systems and getting them to talk to PowerSchool effectively. And by doing so, what it allowed us to do is to create accounts for every teacher, create accounts for every student, create classes for each one of those, and then automatically roster all of those students into those classes, so which would be a tremendously complex process if we had to do it manually. And what we wanted to do is then go through the process of training. This became an extensive process. So what we had to do is initially we had to train a cadre of teachers to become our in-district experts. So we had a number of, we have very, fortunately in this district, we have 2 technology staff developers, Katie Kelly and Jill Robertson, and they are wonderful. But this is, this implementation, if we think about it, we wanted to do training for 300 plus teachers over the course of one summer. So we understood that that was a tremendous lift for any 2 people. So what we did was we partnered with the Lynbrook Teacher Center. So I want to give a shout out to the Teacher Center and their policy board because they played a tremendous role in helping us out with this implementation this summer. What we also did was we brought additional teachers in, made them expert trainers, and we were able to get a cadre of teachers to offer over 30 different training sessions this summer. And that was the goal was to establish a base level of competency for all of our teachers. So that got us into a model we like to keep in mind as we're going forward. I know in education we have a lot of acronyms, but this is a pretty good one. This is the SAMR model, and it is the implementation process we like to look at. Like I mentioned before, this is a short-term implementation in case of a closure, but also a long-term implementation to improve our instruction. So this model shows us how that model should look. At the first level, which is the S, is just basic substitution. How are we going to do what we've always done in a traditional classroom face-to-face? How can we do that in a virtual model? So that is substitution. But then as we move along, we will go into the additional layers. We want to do more than just replicate what we've always done before. We want to go beyond that. So the SAMR model shows us how we can go through that progression. Our initial implementation, we were just looking at the S level. We really wanted to initially make sure every teacher had the basic understanding of how to use their learning management system, just in case the unwanted happened very early this year. So we put a lot of our eggs into that basket, make sure everyone can do the foundation level with these. Our goal is to ultimately come back and circle back and go through all of these. Now this is what the training looked like this summer. We had a dedicated Schoology training for teachers in 4 through 12. We had a dedicated Seesaw training for teachers who are in grades K, 1, 2, and 3. But we also had to create a combined training because we had a number of teachers who live in both lands. All of our special area teachers at the elementary level, art, phys ed, library, music, all service the whole spectrum of the elementary grades. So we had to offer a training that gave them an experience in both Seesaw and Schoology. And then we understood that WebEx distance learning is going to be a big part in what's going on for our remote students at the elementary level, but also everybody in grades 6 through 12 is doing the hybrid model. So we felt that additional training in WebEx would be critical. So that was the training we did this summer. So we tried to make sure everyone was up and running for the first week in September. And that took us to what our next goal is going to be, and that is ongoing professional development. And that is, for the first number of weeks of school, we were interested in providing just-in-time training, which is a teacher runs into a problem, which is a little unexpected, so we had our staff developers jump in and provide the support that they needed to get by and to meet the immediate needs. So that is one thing we're doing. And we're also pushing into classrooms because this is a very different instructional model. So a lot of times teachers want just an extra hand in the class or a quick demo on what they think would be an effective way to utilize the tools. So our staff developers have been doing a wonderful job pushing into classrooms and providing that just-in-time support. And we are also, now we've gotten the first part of the school year, everyone's up and running, the basic level of competency is there. Now teachers are coming back to us and asking us for next level training, which is very exciting. We're very pleased to get to that stage. So they are looking for what the additional capabilities of the platform that we had. That in August we said, please hold off on those. We want to get to those, but for the first part of the year, we just want to make sure that everybody can get off the ground and running. Now the teachers are eager to get involved in finding out more about those additional level tools. And what we're also interested in doing in layering in additional technologies as they become available. The crisis that took place in the springtime has prompted a lot of the technology companies to really layer in a lot of research and development and bring tools to the educational market space. So one of the things we've seen roll out just within the last couple of weeks is the opportunity to use things called breakout rooms within WebEx and within Teams, which are two of our telecommunication tools. And teachers have been asking for them, and now they are ready. So we're starting to have conversations about when the right time and place for using those in the classrooms might be. So that's what our PD is looking like. So just to give a little detail, just want to show a little overview of what these learning management systems actually look like. Now, Seesaw is the tool we're using for our youngest learners, and it is the benefits it provides is organization, which is something members of this Board of Education have been asking for a number of years, is tools that will help learners become more organized. So this does that. It provides for a built-in calendar. It provides for a way to keep track of assignments. It provides communication. Parents can actually sign up and they can get read-only access to their students' content. And they can do that through the mobile apps. And what it does is it fosters an enhanced communication with students and their teachers. So these are the things we were looking for. And one of the things that Seesaw does really well is allows for multimedia. Students can respond to a learning prompt in a number of different ways, with voice, with finger annotation on a screen. They can record videos, a lot of different ways they can demonstrate their learning. And then the teachers can also provide meaningful feedback in response. And they can also record back, instead of just saying good job, they can actually put their voice on, they can record themselves, provide great two-way communication in regards to the learning process. It's hard to talk a lot with these masks on. I feel bad for the teachers, I really sympathize. So this is what a Seesaw screen looks like when you're a teacher. And there's a couple of different sections to it. So the first section on this side is where the journals are. This is where the students' work will appear and the teachers can annotate on top of it right over there. So this is the part that's called the journal side. And on the other section over here is a toolbar area where the teachers can click on a number of different tiles, and just by just by making selections, they can change their views and they can see different things. The third section that's on this page is a list of all of the students. So the teacher can just scroll through the list and keep track of everything that the students are doing. And by just scrolling the list and clicking a student's name, the student's content will appear on the left side and you can see what they are doing. So the interface is nice and clean, very easy to use. From the student view, it also is very similar. So what we have is a list of students, and based on how the teacher chooses to share the class, the teacher cannot allow students to see what their peers are working on. You can't write on their work, but you can see examples of what your peers are working on. So the toolbar area on the student side has a fewer buttons, but by just clicking on the center area over here, you can very quickly, just by clicking on there, it brings up a new screen and just shows you what your assignments are. So a very easy way for, on the previous one, the screen could look a little bit busy, but with just one click, everything clears up and boom, you just see exactly what your task is. And the students really enjoy the easy access to that. And also, what they can also do is all of their classes, all their teachers that are connected with a student in grades K through 3 are all connected to the same account, and they can very easily click into all the other classes just by clicking on the top left-hand side. A drop-down menu shows up, and they could just pick another class and be working with somebody else, another one of the teachers in their school. So it keeps things nice and simple. And for the parents, they were shared by their classroom teacher a home access code, and that allows them to, either on a desktop computer or on a portable device, they can see what their students are working on. And it gives them very informed on their student progress, and it allows for communication back and forth at home, so teachers and parents can both support the students as they're going through the learning process. Now, Schoology has a lot of similarities to it, but is a more robust platform. So what we're looking at this is, it was very important to us that at the upper levels that the tool integrated very effectively with Office 365 tools. And communication becomes very important. In the past, we have offered emails to our students who are in 8th grade and above, and that has always worked out pretty well. But in a remote session like we were in the spring, we found that communication for our younger children was something that we wanted. Because in the springtime, if we wanted to communicate from the teacher to the home, they had to email the parent, and the parent email got filled with a lot of school content. So we were looking for, in the event that we do have to have another school closure, that there would be a communication method for the teachers to the students, and it wouldn't involve an outside email. So Schoology has that built inside. Another critical component is the calendar. The calendar is a way for us to organize. So a high school student has multiple classes, and all the assignments that are posted by the different teachers arrive on one single calendar that is in their Schoology environment, which is something we've been looking forward to for a couple of years now. So just a quick look at the Schoology interface. When a student logs into Schoology, and we've made sure that the login is pretty straightforward, they're actually using their Office 365 credentials to log into this. This is what it looks like when they arrive. And on the left-hand side is when they log in. This is the section where all the courses appear. This is the course dashboard. So just by clicking on one of these tiles, it would open up that class and you're jumping right in. They also have is a section over here on the right-hand side, and this is the reminders and of upcoming events. So when a teacher posts something, an assignment or an upcoming event, such as a test is coming, it's posted on the right-hand side and stays there until the event date comes. So that's another key piece. And also along the top is the blue bar. This is the navigation bar. And this allows us to navigate quickly through a number of different fields that are important in Schoology. The first section is the course area, and these are all the graded sections that the students are involved in. These are created automatically by PowerSchool. The next section over is the groups area. We haven't really leveraged this yet, but this is in a similar way. It's structured similarly to the courses, but these are non-graded areas, and these would be very useful areas for things such as the clubs that our students are involved in, or sports. So if a coach wanted to create a contact area, they could put the contact area right here inside of Schoology, and any announcements that go out to the students would appear right in their area where they would be checking all day. Additionally, they have a section over here that is their calendar, and just by clicking on that, you would see your calendar, and any assignments would automatically be populated into it. And then there's the messages area, notifications area, and then the bell is for notifications. So anytime the students see anything along the top, if the teacher sends out an announcement, they'll get a gold circle with a number in there, and they just click on there and they can see any of the notifications that were sent their way. So this is makes it easy for students to stay abreast of things that are going on in school, but also the parents can also do the same thing when they create their own accounts. I'll talk about that in 1 minute. Any of these notifications would also be visible to the parents, so they can have their students stay focused. And in the last section, this is where they would log off, and you could also change their settings. This is an important one for the parents. When you do create your own account, you're going to want to take a look at the settings area. We'll talk about that in just a moment, so you don't get bombarded with emails. All right, so the benefit for the teachers, this is a unified place where we can communicate and provide instructions, so we keep everything nice and clean. And it is communication with your student in a password-protected environment, so we don't use any third-party software, such as Remind or anything like that. We can communicate with our students inside of a password-protected area. And the things that we really like is the notifications area and the calendar, and also the grade book, which is something that we're helping our teachers get set up right now. Any grade that they post into Schoology will automatically come over to the PowerSchool gradebook. So that's what we're helping the teachers set up right now. So that's a feature that we were looking forward to. The benefit to the parents, when they set up their own accounts that allow them to connect to their students' work, they get a clear view into their students' daily activities, and then be able to provide support as they deem necessary. And then it also provides with organizational tools to help the students stay organized and help the parents put themselves in a position where they can give the support that's necessary. So these were some of the tools that were put forward by the committee, and we really think that these two tools do a very good job addressing that. And we're very excited. And like I said, we're at the first stages of the implementation. We had some bumpy moments, but anytime you bring 3,000 students into a learning management system, I would expect some growing pains. But I think we're in a really good place. The teachers are responding like we knew they would. Lynbrook teachers always rise to the occasion. But at this point, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Yes?
So if you are, say you're a student and you're at your grandmother's house and you don't have your tablet with you, but grandma has a computer, can you access your Schoology through a computer other than the tablet?
Yes, this is a web-based program. The advantage of having your own machine is a lot of students have it memorized their passwords and makes it easy to access. But you can log in from any device that's connected to the internet. You could do this from an iPad, you could do this from your phone if you wanted to. A little challenging to do it that way, but any web-enabled device would allow you to connect to your Schoology content.
Okay. All right. Well, I can just tell you from my house, my student, just leaps and bounds, really. Like, I know you guys had to do a lot in a short period of time, and I see a big, just leaps and bounds improvement to sort of the multi-platform system they were using last year.
It's good to hear. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can always email me. I'm happy to give you any information that you might need.
But I'll just concur, Dr. Burke, that, again, that based upon the complaints we were going through in the spring and the reduction in that, and many of us having children that are utilizing the program and getting feedback from them directly, it has been a much better program, especially from the ability to have one site which they can go into, and teachers are really beginning to utilize the different aspects of that to teach the classes. Not an easy task to address both your remote students and your home students, but they're finding ways to do both and keep them all engaged. So it's great to see how far we've come, and we look forward to continuing that and getting the assistance. Even with the hiccup that Schoology had yesterday, I think the district did a great job of informing us what was going on, told us specifically what the issue was, and just like a power outage with the community would be, we got that same robocall updating us when that was addressed again. So realizing that these issues will happen, they get addressed, and we move on. So that was pretty efficient.
And I think Mr. McDermott underestimated. It was a massive undertaking in a very short amount of time. So we're very appreciative of your work, the staff developers' work, Teacher Center, all of the teachers who engage in the professional development, and it's ongoing. So we have another conference day in November, and we're going to be gearing a lot of training just to continue along these lines to help the teachers and help the students move forward. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
And that's what I have.
Would you like the superintendent's recommendation? Yep. So as a reminder, again, we will be meeting again next week. That will be a public meeting. Those who would like to attend may. Others can attend in person and ask questions. Others can, as we now know is our protocol, they can send their emails in. Moving on to anything else from the board? If not, moving on to superintendent's recommendations. On a consent agenda, I'd like to ask for consent agenda on resolutions 2010-C1 through 2010-C8. 2010 NC1 through 2010 NC11, and 2010 G1 through 2010 G8. We have a motion for a consent agenda, please. Mr. Yaker, second. Mr. Pileski, all in favor? I'd like to have a motion to accept the consent agenda. Mrs. Hanson, second. Mrs. Marcus, all in favor? Being that we're not going into executive session, we may end this meeting, and I do know, Terry, I messed up. On roll call, as you know, Mr. Pascoff and Mrs. Janino are not here. Thank you. Everyone stay safe, and we'll see you in a week.
Thank you, everyone.
Meeting adjourned. And we will wait till we get the salute that we are out.